times in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Somebody recognized that.
That hat,
Really, you wore the,
Joe
Bear
Bear
Sarah hat.
in Chicago.
And this woman in a restaurant just stops, and her husband just piles into her, she turns around, she's like, where did you get it? And then she's already got my hat, and she's turning it, and she goes, excuse me, you know what? And I'm like, oh, where'd you get that hat? I'm like, friend of mine. And she's like, no, I can't be the same thing. I'm just like, yeah, it is. And she was, yeah, that Instagram thing,
It's all over.
it's all over. And, yeah, and you see people stop and they're like, yeah, it's pretty wild.
All right, we're
Wait a minute.
in session. We-
Recording in progress.
Oh, now we're
Now you can go.
I'm ahead of the ball this
Oh,
time.
boy.
Good you go.
No, we're working.
Yeah, we're all set.
Public comments.
I'm just curious, further along in the meeting, we have a couple of items that have to do with the capital reserve fund and fire truck and an emergency repair. And from a trust fund's perspective, I'd like to know some more about that, that's all.
Oh, yeah. On our list. 15, you're up.
Yeah, Emily's coming too, though, so you can do a few of your other things. if you
Yeah,
want.
we got our minutes. Somebody wanna move the minutes?
I'll move them.
I'll second them.
All those in favor? Good, then,
And I'll abstain.
all right. Where's our manifest?
It's
Manifest?
in there, yeah. You have two?
Two manifests.
Yes.
There was like an $8 item to someone named Dina cut in on it.
I paid for the registration of the new fire truck. That's what that's for. Yeah.
I'll move them.
Okay.
I'll second them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Any thoughts about?
Ben, aye. David, aye. So moved.
Ben, could you read the numbers, please?
I'm trying to find them. I can't
Oh, okay.
see the
They'll
manifest.
be in the draft minutes, but, there's one for 75,000. No, sorry, $750,327.31. I thought that was a lesser one.
All the real money's going to the school.
And number two, yeah, that one has one for school for $690 something. And then there's a second one for $23,649.09.
Thank you.
Now, should we go on to the, emergency vehicle repair expense?
Sure, why not?
That was,
So your chief is asking, there was a problem with the brakes and stuff on the, Typhoon, I think it was.
Is it engine one?
Or is it, I don't know. Yeah, it's the 2020 Typhoon. Anyways, I don't know if it's engine one. Yep, look, engine one, even.
All-wheel drive, yep.
And so the bill is $5,301.55. And your fire chief is asking if we can, if he can ask you to have that paid out of the emergency vehicle repair capital reserve fund, which has a little over $16,000 in it.
Dina, I missed that. How many in the fund?
A little over 16,000, I don't know
16,
what it is
thank you.
exactly.
well, it's the only place to get it, isn't it?
Well, other than ask him to take it out of his regular vehicle budget, which, you
Oh.
know, is kind of gonna cramp their style.
Well,
So this repair is necessitated by the fact that they drove the vehicle with the emergency brake on?
Correct,
Set the wheel on fire?
that's what it says here.
I'm questioning how you can drive that truck with emergency brake on.
Can't answer that.
Yeah.
Got a lot of horsepower.
Not enough to, but in an all-wheel drive vehicle, a heavier all-wheel drive vehicle, like the depth and the size and it's a one-off vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know that it was, engine one, customer unit number, it says E1. I don't know if they're talking about the truck make, or, I just know it's a E1 Typhoon 2020.
The 20 would be the newest engine.
Okay, well, I'll move
Either
it.
way, okay.
I don't see that we have any other choice, although it's a bit frustrating to spend $5,000 for an error like that.
Unfortunate mistake, exactly.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Right.
Then I-
David,
So moved. Then we got
Okay.
Motorola.
And
So
then you have-
here
right.
on this one, I actually have a question. So I have a friend who's really deep into radio. And I asked him to look at this for me, and he said, yes, that's what Motorola costs, but you could get equivalently functional equipment from, I think he said Kenwood, for about a third the price. And the only downside would be that people would make fun of your fire department for using off-brand equipment.
Kenwood's not off-brand, but
That's
keeping
what,
it.
that's what the fire department, I mean, the highway department uses.
Yeah, but Kenwood's not an off-brand. The problem is, all of our PLs and all of the programming for the radios in police, and fire engines, they're updated and they swap out anytime there's Grafton County or something comes up. You plug in and they redo all your radios, and they only support Motorola.
Okay, so there's an actual functional reason
So
for
for
using.
the functional reason why we have, and so Aaron.
They don't do it for the police, but.
No,
they
but
must have
Aaron
it
had
for-
purchased some Kenwood portables because they literally were a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, my
But-
buddy said a
Yeah,
third of
and
it.
there's no difference, there's no functional operation or longevity difference. But the problem is, when we originally got those, the portables and the mobiles and stuff through the state, they basically said, this is what you're gonna run and operate, and the big thing comes from the little Draga tragedy up in Colebrook, where you couldn't talk to each other because it wasn't in the radios. So our radios are basically single model, single vendor for interoperability. And that's why we're stuck in it.
Okay, so that's a good answer, actually.
And it's not, I mean, it's the answer. It's not a good answer, because the reality is, it's like, why is the state of New Hampshire requiring all these municipalities to basically lock out anybody, any other vendor?
Well, but it's not huge money. You know,
No.
A couple $1,000s, but.
Yeah, but it's more than that for every mobile.
Yeah.
Every portable. And then, and the other thing is, David, the batteries, which have a lifespan, you can get a Kenwood battery for $18 or $22, and Motorola's cost like $112. It's craziness. It's just, they nickel and dime you all the time.
So what do we wanna do with it?
I think we have to buy it.
So you've got a motion,
I move it,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Michael.
And I, will move
And again, could I get, write down the number that we're talking about here?
$8,135.20.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just to know, that's part of the, capital reserve fund for purchasing the vehicle,
That was approved at that meeting.
goes in with that, pardon me?
Yep.
So that comes out of the Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund?
Correct.
Thank you.
Signing the mowing contract.
Yes. It's already approved and reviewed and all that stuff, you just never signed it, so
Rich.
I would like you guys to sign it.
Good.
Okay, start with him, sorry guys. Yeah, you don't have to move it or anything, because you already.
Skiway agreement schedule discussions update.
That's just a quick reminder that you guys need to start, or if you're going to start having discussions with them about the written agreement that you have with them. At one time last year, before, tax bills came out, you were going to do it in the coming tax cycle, and it didn't get done. So I'm asking if you want to revisit that and set something up to have a meeting so you guys can talk about it, or invite Dartmouth in, or what do you wanna do?
So have our assessors come up with a number? Have they looked at it?
Well, that will be the revow, I imagine, but I don't know what will happen because it's essentially part exempt and part not, and, you know,
If I recall correctly, our council last time said, well, the basis for having it be tax exempt is unclear, and that you have this agreement with them,
Right.
and she was okay with us sort of leaving it for a year, but I think she wanted us to look at it again.
absolutely, that's why, it was a reminder.
So we should probably,
On my things. And the agreement is 24 years old, so,
And there's key points about it that's, I mean, there's a change in management out at Skiway, right?
Yep.
they don't even know that agreement
and
exists.
at the college.
Yeah, well, they do, maybe not because of taxes.
Mark had no idea that the agreement exists at all until I sent him an ambulance bill.
Yeah, mine is in the ambulance bill, because those can, in fact, get pretty expensive.
Yep. But anyways,
And there,
I
but
just think you need to review it
I think
and
we
have a
need to
chat.
review that.
So how should we, what should we do in terms of reviewing it? Do we wanna talk about it first, or do we wanna just call them in and sit down and hash it out?
No, I think you, this, my opinion is you guys should talk about it, revisit it, remember what the concerns or comments were about it. You may wanna meet with your attorney to talk about
Yeah.
what you could or couldn't do, or should or shouldn't do, because it involves not only an agreement with them, but it involves how the taxes are calculated.
Yeah.
Mark has
So
a
I was just-
comment.
Larry, oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
I remember this.
I'd also suggest that since the skiway in Dartmouth is somewhat amorphous and unclear as to who you would even talk to or who would have the responsibility, that you might also put those questions just in writing back to them. rather
Yeah,
than bring
I've
them
already
in.
talked to them.
Exactly, and then they can figure out,
I
well,
know who.
do we need someone from legal, or who do they need, or who's the right person to
Yeah.
help even, because it's probably not just Mark.
Oh, it isn't him
No.
at all,
Yeah.
it's the real estate office.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's-
I'm thinking,
I've already had 2 conversations
Yeah.
with them, and it is them.
Yeah.
There
yeah.
is some stuff that is skiway stuff that they want Mark to be in on and responsible
Absolutely,
for,
right,
but,
yeah.
you know, we certainly will, once you guys know where you're coming from, cue them in on,
So should we
and get the right party.
tee that up for the next meeting?
Have our attorney. Yeah,
Yeah, and have Joe come.
yeah. So we're on.
Joe or
Or at
Laura?
least soon. It was Joe that gave me the reminder. I had a reminder on my thing, but
I think of him as the
I'll-
litigator, but,
I'll figure out who,
okay.
and then which one can. It could be that Laura can't right now, but I'll see.
Is she out of pocket or something?
No, she's just really busy. So we'll plan on it for the next meeting, just for a general discussion. Okay.
so, when we visited this last.
Yeah, I saw your signature on the.
Yeah, the skiway was, I mean, I don't know if snowmaking's in yet, but it was, we were getting hammered with, unpaid ambulance bills. And I think we sort of threatened how we assessed her, maybe not threatened would be the right word, but we discussed what was considered taxable and how you look at the rate, and they were pretty quick to put that payment in lieu of taxes. Seems pretty, that's odd that this hasn't been addressed since 2002.
It was talked about and, discussed, but there were no changes. That I remember, and there could be another written, that's not the agreement, that's just a, that's a note or a thing from Mr. Kelly, way back then.
Larry Kelly.
I know. Don't forget, Mark was at 10:15.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh,
Not her.
No, it is for 10:50. We'll go to
Yeah, but
Emily's
let's-
not
in
here.
case Emily
oh,
comes.
Emily's not here yet, okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Can I ask a question meanwhile? Is what you're doing at the skiway likely to affect the public's use of it in ways that may come back and jump out at you without you realizing it?
Never know.
You know, because,
One of the things in the agreement is the free use by,
say,
one of the things that's in the old agreement is that provides for free use by town youth. And so, in fact, if we revisit that agreement, that question could come up again. I think there was, my understanding, just based on town lore, is that there was that free use was part of the original agreement when we agreed to allow the development of the skiway.
No.
But I don't know if it's
No, it was
memorialized.
it was an Old Town Limey person who donated that whole mountain with the understanding that all school-age kids in the town of Lyme could ski for free.
Do you know whether
Written
that is
down somewhere?
memorialized anywhere, or is it?
Not that I've seen.
Be interesting to get a copy of
But
that.
it's
Is
just
it, was there a
always-
gift agreement?
I
to
don't know. I
Dartmouth?
don't know.
So-
It's always been carried on that way.
There's
And
some,
when they have a change at Dartmouth, that's what happens.
yeah.
But Larry Kelly was there for so long and he knew
Larry Kelly
about
was there
it.
for so long.
And he knew about it and.
Like
they
Harry
worked it.
Sanborn was there in Old John Bulge, and
Mhm.
when we were doing these. But it was changed, but it was supposed to be just like Lyme school-age children.
Right.
And then it became any Lyme kid who's still going to school. And that was actually
What are you
initiated.
talking about?
So if it wasn't like through 8th grade, it was
Oh, yeah,
that if
no,
you
it's
went
high
to
school
college,
kids, and, yeah,
college
Yeah.
or medical school, if you were from Lyme, and you were
Yeah.
going to school.
if you lived in Lyme,
And
right?
Larry Kelly, I mean, was very clear, they were supporting, starting college, and they're supporting education, people going to school.
They did put in there, school age,
Yeah.
so. But anyways,
I'm less sympathetic for the
We weren't
law
there.
school students who are.
Well, I mean, it's a rare thing, but we put it in, we're
hey,
like,
they
yeah,
need
put it in.
recreation too.
I think
No.
yeah,
But but the exempt, non-exempt percentages, and when they were redoing the original lodge, and they get rid of that.
So typically, if you gave land to a nonprofit and you wanted that to be a condition, you would do a gift agreement, and that would be in the gift agreement, so.
Correct.
So typically, that should be around somewhere. Do you know who
Should
the
be.
person was who gave the land?
yeah, it was the Balch family.
And could we reach out to them and see if they did a gift agreement when they gave the land?
Oh, he's dead now, but
Oh, wait,
it was
But
was
is
way
it-
back when.
Is that
I mean, this-
Ellsworth or
This was
Weston?
done in,
Ellery.
when was this done? In 60s?
50s.
Yeah, 50s, there you go. And he was an elderly man then.
Oh, but so,
But
there's
I
no
don't
family
know.
who would have records or?
What was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which Balch
We'd
family
have
was
to
it?
look.
Was it
Is it
Russell
Ellery?
Balch's family?
It was part of Charlie Balch's family, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that Balch, yeah.
The other thing that you might consult outside of that as well is that there was a history of the skiway written
Yeah.
in the 80s, which I know Michael has, and it's likely covered somewhere, but again, third person source, but likely
The
referenced.
book, and I'll look through some of my old Dartmouth stuff.
Yeah,
We'll look into that.
well, it definitely says it there and they knew it, so, but. I don't know, I have not found that document, but, you know,
Well, because the only reason I'm pushing on this a little bit is because if we go to them and say, hey, our council is telling us that the way we're taxing you isn't right, and we need to change it, and that's gonna result in a higher tax bill, if I'm on the other side of that conversation, what I would say back is, well, we're gonna revisit this whole issue of letting kids ski for free.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what his comment was when he said
Yeah.
that, not you, but the gentleman that was here, I can't remember his name.
I don't know,
But
but,
either
so,
way,
so it'd be
You have
interesting
to
to see if
tiptoe.
there's something out there that obligates them to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do, I think we should look into that, but the other thing is, the skiway, one of the agreements was like, oh, so it's an educational institution, and they had this one room on the second floor of the new lodge, that's a study room. And they literally, and they put that thing in there specifically for taxation, and to say this is where kids had internet and they could study in between ski runs, which is like, but I don't think it's completely disingenuous, it's probably legal. But the thing is, all of the workers and stuff were supposed to be Dartmouth Dining Services, and they didn't use it for other stuff. Now there's a liquor license, now there's a number of additional uses and rentals in that facility that impact that neighborhood in noise and light. And I think that may be, the 80-20 may not be still correct.
Well, that's something we
But
need to
that's
talk to our
everything.
council about.
But
Yeah.
that's everything you're gonna be talking about, you're gonna be talking about many different things.
Yep.
But you have to
Morning.
decide what's
Morning.
important and what's not, so anyways.
1956.
So I'm going to make it for May 12th. Okay? Okay.
We still don't have that. All right,
Yeah, I don't make it.
abatements. Curtis Shepherd,
Yep,
assessment change is
it's, yep,
$6,600.
yep. There's no second story, it wasn't completed, so,
I'll move it.
Recommended.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Michael, aye.
David, aye.
Ben, aye.
Right now, this Cook fellow.
yep.
Tim Cook.
And here's a copy of, this is a copy of our tax map. And this is a copy of a survey that somebody has hand drawn in the building, so I don't really know. I mean, it shows the property line.
You see this?
David, you asked for that.
Yeah, but you sent it around. You scanned it.
Did I? Okay. Jordan probably did that, but good. So if we go back to 24 and 25, the value of the outbuilding is $25,900. So calculated at, Jordan calculated at the two different tax rates. So the total abatement would be $1,442.36 plus interest, which I can't give you exactly what that is, because
That,
that's
Emily
the
will figure
tax
that out, right?
collector, that's Marcy's.
Marcy, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Our assessor has not recommended the abatement on the basis that he doesn't believe the procedures were followed. My feeling is that we're taxing property that doesn't belong to the town of Lyme, and we ought to return that money with an apology. So I would move that we approve the proposed abatement.
Second,
I'll second it.
those in favor?
Aye.
and I would just like to, oh, sorry,
Then
did
yeah,
you?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank
mean,
you.
Sorry, Tim.
I wanna just say that absolutely, if the property's on there, it needs to be corrected. But in Brendan's, realm of his job, this is the procedure to follow.
That's fine, it's no criticism toward Brendan.
Okay,
I
good.
understand that, I'm not
Excellent.
disparaging him at all.
Thank you.
Are we, do we have this fixed going forward?
It's taken off as far, well, it won't be, it will be.
Okay, we're gonna fix it going forward.
This tax season, it will come off.
but,
But,
yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
For me, but the procedure of when you're doing an abatement and on a piece of property, anything, when there's an abatement and a contestant, the standard is that an assessor goes in and looks at the entire place. It's like, that's the best practices of like in New Hampshire, that's how they do it.
Mhm.
And, I mean, I had to look at like 3 places before I really realized that, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
what they do.
And
And
there's
that's,
our town map. And I just think it's interesting that on our town map, it shows that like a third of the building is in line. So whether that GIS is wrong or right, I don't know. Doesn't really matter, as long as only one town is charging for the building.
Yeah. We can give that one to Orford.
Right.
Well, yeah, I've
I'll
been,
call her up and tell her.
I've been paying for 37 years in Orford, so. And when I built it 37 years ago, the Lyme Select Board said it was in Orford.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good enough for
I'll
me.
listen to that.
So I just had one question. If there is an interest, I would think the town of Lyme should not, the taxpayers in Lyme should not pay for that interest? It should be charged to Granite Hill?
No. The interest, if we kept your money and it was sitting in our bank account and we got interest on it.
Oh, okay. So that's, yeah. Okay.
nope, that's agents working on behalf of the town.
Yeah.
This one?
Sorry, I'm like, no, that's your copy
Good.
for your meeting. Okay, so then you have an intent to cut.
So
Pile of paper.
David, I just had one other question. The building is on my tax card for 2023, 2024, and 2025, so,
Well,
So you're
Jordan went
thinking-
back and looked, and it was increased, it might have been increased in the latter part of 23, but it wasn't for that, but that was the tax cycle of 24.
okay, yeah, I just wanna make sure, so I didn't pay it, I didn't
So-
pay tax in 2023 on it.
Correct.
Okay.
Best we can figure, if you
Well,
go
that's
back
what-
and look and think.
Well, see,
that's
I
all.
can't tell from my bill, unfortunately.
Well, no, but the tax cards is what you look at, and
Right, and
that's
on
where Jordan-
2023, it's on there. So I mean, I'm just asking the question, I don't know how to figure it, but,
Well, what I can say is Jordan looked back, and in 2023, it was not charged as an outbuilding.
even though it was on the tax card that year.
All I can say, I don't have a 23 right here to look at, but,
We'll confirm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm just asking the question, because I don't know how to figure that, but, and then there's no land involved either, because I know in Orford, when I pay on the building, and I also pay on the land. So I don't know whether there's any land involved in Lyme, whether he charged me for land too.
no, it was just as an outbuilding. An outbuilding is charged singularly for the building.
Right, because in Orford, they charged me for the land
Right,
that's there also.
correct.
Yeah, because when I talked to Brendan about it, he said, oh, I guess I just assumed that building was in Lyme, I didn't check. So,
Well, you're gonna get
Same thing.
the limit of that return abated.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on to intent to cut, Bill Nichols.
Right here,
Yeah,
I'm sure that Ben reviewed it.
It looks fine.
I'll just copy Judy.
In that case, I'll move it.
and I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Michael,
David, I.
Ben, aye. Is this a copy?
where was I?
Right here,
The copy.
just right there, down there where it says. And I can put the dates in, or Jordan can do all that if you guys don't want to fluff up with it.
And I've got a report of woodcut
Right.
for Bill Nichols.
Yep, so this one is for Bill Nichols, and it is for map 421 lot 20. And it is for $1,491.45. So someone needs to move that.
I'll move it.
I'll
thank
second
you
it.
guys. Thank you.
Take care,
All
Jim.
those in favor?
Michael, aye.
David, on.
And I,
Jeff, and I'll be wet for a second.
stick my finger in
You what?
it. I didn't stick my finger in it.
Yeah. All right, and the second one is George Everts, I don't know how you say it.
Everts.
Map
Everts.
415, lot 22. I must go through with the wrong lot number, interesting. Where is it? Sorry. And it is $4,176.27. Trade Jen,
Yep.
and you need a motion on that.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Michael, aye.
David, aye.
Dan, aye. Lots of signing places.
Yeah, two, I think. Then you have your updated summary of forest stewardship plan. It's an updated copy.
I didn't really follow what, like I tried to look at that form, and I couldn't really tell what these or what. Do one of you guys have background on that, can explain what that is and what's going on with it?
Well, it's a program that forest stewardship, when you put it in, it's like, what is it? They have a plan to cut and take care of the forest a certain way.
TSI.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for current use.
Well, it's not for current use, it's a forest stewardship plan. It's has to be done by a forester. And they tell you
Whose land is that?
what you can cut and when you can cut it and how to take care of it. It is, Bevins, they live on Route 10. This property is up off Washburn Hill. And the forester is Jesse Cutting.
Oh, I know that guy.
I know you know him.
Can't trust him.
I know, you gotta be careful
All
with him.
foresters around.
Yeah. And it's through Land Vest. So, that's what it's all about.
Let me see. Do some work on that one.
Mhm.
So this is an owner filing this.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Dave, what was your question on that?
I just didn't, I'd never seen this before on the select board, so I just didn't know what it was and what.
It's like a management plan.
It's a management plan.
And why are we approving it if it's for some private person?
It's for them, but it's for the town land. That's why the select
Oh.
board or your assessing officials have to approve. It's just like a reported woodcut or current use or
Yeah, mine.
land use change tax. You guys have to approve all that.
Because the timber and the value of it, but also the timber stuff has to do with the health, has to do with insects, has to do with how the diseases and other stuff are spread between trees, forest fire reduction, and,
Well, the state tracks all this, yes.
yeah,
That's
but it's also when, when people have stuff in actual current use for forests and stuff, it actually shows that they're really doing it. And the plan on what they're cutting and not cutting. But, I mean, you look at size of the land on the lake, I mean, you look at Greens or Geordie Everett's, their timber stand improvement plan is unbelievably comprehensive. And, it goes not just for like types of trees they're trying to grow and develop, but how they're doing it to protect runoff from the streams and stuff. It's actually one of the cooler state programs that are in place.
Well, so have you guys looked at this? Plan?
We haven't handled these before coming to, but there's town land involved in this.
No, you're approving this
What?
document.
Yeah,
Let me see, the form number.
Are you approving or acknowledging the receipt though?
You are accepting this because you guys are the signatories for the majority of the municipal assessing officials. because you are the select board. So even though we hire an assessor, you guys are the official. And this would have gone to our assessor, who would have reviewed it, and if there were problems, he would have
It's just
said,
that we haven't seen them.
he would have said, don't do this.
Well,
You haven't seen one in a while, because everything else is in current use in this town.
Did he?
Yeah, like when I look at this, I can't tell what's going on. I don't have any basis for saying whether it's good or bad
So
or.
this land is
Okay,
not
I'll
in
tell
current
you.
use.
So it's a tract of 236.8 acres. The total acres in current use is 233.8. The amount of acreage that's being put into this forest stewardship is 211.5. So the total acreage not in current use is 3. It is,
Do you,
yep,
do we have to, like, what's the chances that we can get like the assessor guy to come in and give us a quick little 5-minute lesson on this thing? So we have a better understanding of what it is that we're accepting.
Or just tell us that he's reviewed it and it looks fine.
I'm sure the plan,
born to sign and file this, he said. That's his writing. Whatever, if you don't feel comfortable.
No, mine is, it's not that I'm not comfortable, I just wanna know
I mean-
more about what it is. Not just for this, but like,
I mean, I've got forest, the same kind of plans on my property, it's no, I mean, it's pretty standard for anybody who has any
Right.
forest land.
Right,
But
it doesn't give them a discount.
And you know this guy Jesse Cuddy, he's,
I've never heard of him before.
I have.
Gotta do a
He's quality young
background
man.
check on him.
quality of man.
No, he's not my child, just let everybody know that.
Does this land come out of current use?
No, no,
I think it's land that is in current
In
use,
current
is
use,
being
it's a
enrolled in a
management
forest stewardship
there's
program.
part of it that's being enrolled in this forest stewardship.
Okay, gotcha.
Look, I'm happy to move this and we can vote to approve it. It seems like it's sort of one of those formalities that we get. But it would be nice to have maybe Brendan come in or
But we can
whoever
get you some more info
and
on
just explain to us what this
what
is and,
stewardship is.
yeah, and also just tell us like what he does before he signs off on this so that we can,
Okay,
so I'll move it.
You have a second?
Yeah, I will second it.
All those in favor?
Michael, I.
Ben, aye.
okay. I think the rest that, I don't know, do you need to, David, are you gonna talk about the drone?
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to do that. So, you weren't here, so I'm up to date. We asked about the person that you had recommended. I guess he was out of town or unavailable. We were kind of feeling like it would be best to get photographs before the leaves came in and made it more difficult to see what's on the property at 116 Dorchester Road. And the estimate that I got from the person who was recommended to me by my Realtor friends was under $400, so modest that we went ahead and did that. We engaged him. He said he could do the photography last Friday. He gave us a week notice, so we sent out, I drafted a notice letter to the property owners telling them, because the court order required us to
Right.
give a reasonable advance notice. We sent that out. We sent it to our attorney to review, but the attorney was out of town and I didn't wanna wait, so I just winged it with my draft notice. I think it was reasonable. We got a complaint from the property owner saying they were out of town, they didn't get the notice, they wanted to have at least 2 weeks' notice. In my judgment, that's just just purely an attempt to delay. There's no, they don't need to be there, they don't need to, there's no reason for that, so.
And he didn't go on their property at all.
We didn't go on their property, that was over the property, and
We had the judge's permission.
and they weren't there anyways.
Yeah.
So, we ignored, well, we didn't ignore, we just didn't,
We didn't make an opening for them to delete.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
no, mine is, which is not a requirement.
We went forward with it.
No, I forgot.
The photographer got back to me over the weekend and said he did the photography on Friday, that he was very happy with the photos that he got, and that he's putting together a map for us that we ought to have sometime in the next,
Good.
shortly. What I would propose, and the property owner was, angrily calling Dina, and I told her that I didn't think we owed them any kind of a response on that we just, we're doing what we're doing and following the law.
So I did not call her back.
So we have the photographs, hopefully we'll get a good map. What I would propose is, once we have a map, that the three of us schedule some time, maybe at our next meeting, hopefully, where we can just look at that map together and just take a highlighter and go, here's the stuff we think ought to be removed. I would then propose that we give a copy of that to the property owner for them to review. And if they object to something, they can get back to us and say, hey, I really don't wanna move, this, you shouldn't be moving this. And we can think about whether what they have to say is reasonable. If we think it's reasonable, here's my real heartfelt feeling about this. The exact line between a really messy front yard and a junkyard is not that easy to, it's not marked in red, and, it's a little hard to figure out. And so I'm receptive to them saying, well, this isn't, what about this? And when you're trying to figure out exactly what you're gonna take off and what you're not gonna take off, I think it's hard. So if they have reasonable objections, I would say we ought to listen to them and try to reach a compromise. If, on the other hand, their objections are, you can't take any of this is all my stuff, I paid for it, what are you doing? Then I would say, we would, my view would be we ought to move forward, and if they wanna stop us, they can file a motion in court, and then the court will hash it out. But I'd like to get this taken care of this summer if we can.
I concur and support that. And I do think that, but by having it, but I also think, in agreement, I think there's, when we look at the environmental laws and we look at the junkyard stuff, I think that really includes pallets. I don't think that includes a number of things that aren't gonna have an environmental contamination.
Yeah, I don't know, there's a ton of
No,
junk on that property, but I'm guessing, if I had to guess, I think one of the things that's gonna be a disputed item is that they have a number of storage, those truck containers, that are just sitting on the property, that are completely filled up with stuff, and I don't know how we feel about that. I've heard the property owner say before, there's no law in New Hampshire against having storage containers on your property. That may be the case, and so maybe we let those go, I don't know, we have to, but when we have a map and we sit down and look at it. The only other question I think would be, sort of procedural question would be that the property owners have in the past expressed discomfort at the idea that this map that we're gonna have and that our review of the items on the property, is public, and they find that embarrassing, and they find that an invasion of privacy. I have to say, I think their desire to keep this private has more to do with their desire to portray themselves as victims and to hide from the town, the people in the town, citizens, what's actually on the property and what's going on. So my inclination would be to not, and I don't think I'm not sure that there's a basis for us to review that and make those decisions in a private meeting. So I would do it publicly, but that's an open
We're
question.
speaking about the condition of the property, not the people.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
If we're talking about people, we'd have to go into non-public, but we're not talking about.
Well, and if they object to that, again, they could go to court and get ask the court to compel us to do that in non-public, which would be fine, I guess, but.
Well, I mean, if the court wants to give that direction and guidance, fine. But other than that, I think, we have open meeting rules, and let's follow it.
I agree.
Let's go.
So that's where we are with that, I think.
So you guys wanna form a committee to handle this for us?
No, thank you. That's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
I wouldn't have taken this one on when I was in practice.
I didn't do senior recently.
Where's Emily?
I don't know.
I don't think Emily and I have talked since too about stuff, so that I could probably answer
Okay.
some questions.
Well, we need to, I hate to keep you sitting here wasting your
Yeah,
time.
your next thing is not public, so.
Yeah,
All right.
so why don't you come up and tell us what's going on?
Sure. So actually, I think, actually, I don't know. So I think the questions, we scheduled time to just talk about, kind of review what we did this past year for a town meeting schedule. I think perhaps Emily and I to give a little bit of feedback on that, of what we saw, and for people to answer questions, and at least put in place a tentative plan for next year. So this past year, we had a little town meeting again, which hadn't happened in a couple years. That was pretty well attended, despite being in a snowstorm. I will say that with little town meeting, as well as with many other things, I think attendance can be issue driven. And so in this case, there certainly was an issue that people wanted to talk about there and ask about. And so there was a pretty healthy discussion about the petition zoning article. And again, a bit over 100 people there for that. On the municipal election day itself, which was on the traditional municipal election day, I remember partway through the morning, I was looking around thinking, well, wonder if maybe we're not gonna have as many people here today because town meeting is not on the same day. And again, there was a petition zoning article on there, and so that was the highest turnout for voting on a municipal election day since 2021, which was
Really?
an unusual year, yeah. Now,
Mark, do you have the number?
I have the number and so the numbers that I have are not based on the numbers that I have are based on how many people cast a vote on a specific piece. And so this year, 437 people cast a vote on the question of the petition zoning article. The ones in previous few years, in 2025, 284 cast something related to a zoning article. In 2025. In 2024, that was the solar amendment vote, and there were 347 votes. 2022, there were no zoning amendments and no paper ballot votes at town meeting. So it was the last one previous to that that had brought people out was the 2021 zoning updates or zoning proposal. It was the last time people had come out on municipal election day to vote more.
So the return, mine is, when you sit there, I mean, you've been going, and, I mean. if
Well,
you
so I'm
talk-
not, no, so I'm not talking about town meeting, not talking about the business meeting right now, I'm talking about
Votes.
the voting day. And then, just to continue on, I'll let you come back, so, and then, in terms of the business meeting, which was now on a separate day, they tried to, Patty had not traditionally kept track of how many people registered on those days, how many picked up a ballot on those days. So I tried to look back at town meetings to see when a ballot vote occurred, how many people voted in those things and what the counts were. And so, for instance, this past year, 155 people voted on the ballot vote regarding the conservation of easement. And slightly less than that voted on the one regarding the Smith property. The year before this, there were no ballot votes, but Emily had noted there were approximately 120 people at town meeting. Our assumption this year was actually the number is higher than the amount who cast the votes. Previous year, in 2024, when the hot button was the shoe strap closure, 158 people. So the same number roughly as cast ballots this year. The year before that, that was the one that was the most popular in the past 10 plus years, and that was when there was a proposal about doing a full statistical evaluation of town, and in that one, 225 people cast ballots on that day. Other than that, there hadn't been a number close to that in a while.
How many
So-
registered voters in the town are, do you know?
Registered voters?
voters.
I don't know what it
Between
says.
12 and 1,300.
Yeah,
Wow, so we get, even on the hottest issue, we get
A third.
between 15 or 20%.
Yeah, and that seems to be typical. Now, also, we will get more in terms of, you know, again, but on the other hand, there were 437 votes cast on the municipal voting day. That was in terms of the zoning amendment, so there's a higher percentage on that. That
So your
came out.
maximum is a third over many years.
Yeah, and again, this is in keeping with what we've heard from most other towns. As well as, and I don't have figures on how many people turn out actually for federal elections right now, we could
Yeah.
look at that, but it depends. In terms of town meeting day itself, we basically got some anecdotal feedback, and the anecdotal feedback was limited. And essentially what that was is that there were a few people who, before we moved, we decided to try it on a Saturday this year, which I know I was not in favor of at first. I didn't think it was gonna work well. But then once people responded, it sounded like that was actually the time when the most people could make it. And that's, the feedback we got was that the few people who spoke to us beforehand, who were skeptical about a Saturday, came. And 3 other people who, you know, came up to us, 3 to me, and maybe it was a couple more to Emily, said, "Thank you for having it on Saturday, it's the first time I've been able to come." Now, I don't see a big shift one way or the other in the numbers. I do think it is driven by what else is happening and what's going on that day. I think my recommendation, Emily's and mine, would be to keep the same schedule next year, to try the same thing again. I think in addition, knowing what the timing is flowing like, I would also like to promote the Saturday meeting a little bit more and encourage, we might be able to do some type of food thing afterwards, as used to be, Pond used to do, or there may be a possibility of doing something along those lines now that we know. But,
Do you have any thoughts about sending out an after, like, I thought that survey you did before was awesome. I don't know how much work that is, so of course I would think it was awesome if it was work. But I wonder if it would be at all useful to send out something on the listserv and say, hey, we did the town meeting on Saturday, if you had feelings one way or another, we'd like to hear about them as we decide what to do moving forward, and see what people say, or.
So I think it's definitely open to possibility. It's not a crazy amount of work. I think at the same time, know that when we sent the survey via the listserv, some people fielded complaints that we only sent it via the listserv, you know, and the goal last year when we did it was that we had in fact asked people at town meeting, and it wasn't necessarily to do a vote per se, but to get input. I think we definitely could. I think at the same time, my general philosophy on surveys is don't ask questions that aren't actionable or that you wouldn't have a path to act on. So that's one of the things with that, is that right now I don't know what type of feedback would alter us or on that just yet. So that's why I'm tempted to say, let's try the same thing a year more, let people adapt to it. The other thing that Emily wanted to do is that she had put, I think, a little bit of money in her budget for next year to put something in to remind people about the actual mailing about the meeting schedules. I think we may also talk about that too.
If I can ask a question.
Right.
Mark, this is data that people may be interested in,
Mhm.
that you've already got written here. Is there any reason to not say, here's a comparative information about attendance at meetings over various years for your information, and just treat it as a news item rather than any kind of a questionnaire?
It depends. I think if we were to do that, I actually would want to see if we could go back further and deeper. What this was in this case, I'll say that I did a very cursory view, literally popped in, looked through a few sources in terms of old town reports to pull this. And I think it's more interesting to look at this over a greater period of time too. And again, it goes to my other question of, I'm not sure what actions would change one way or the other with this. But I do think it's this next piece of like, what kind of patterns can we set, what can we do? The biggest thing that I've found looking at this, and this is more of, you know, conclusion than fact, is that it is important to tie them and think about them as to the time, what was happening then, what was being discussed. There were definitely impacts and differences. One of the interesting things is the year that we had the most day of municipal votes also happened to be the year that we didn't have town meeting that same month due to COVID. The year that the meeting then was 2 months later was actually looks like was the least well-attended meeting. In fact, although it felt like more people because it was outside. It was also the meeting that was a double header with the school district
With the
meeting.
school, yeah.
So it is interesting that those factors, but there are just so many other things. I do think, like I said, I can, Phil, if you're gonna put something in your notes too to put out, I can give you some numbers to add in, but I think those things are, my biggest concern right now is that literally, I think I wrote these on the back of a napkin or the equivalent when I was looking through town reports, so.
I don't wanna put in anything that is inaccurate,
Yeah.
and I think of this as as essentially a news item. If I was gonna write anything at this point, what I would likely say is, oh boy, 437 people turned out for the actual vote, and that's the best participation we've had in years. And then maybe you put up statistics as you are comfortable doing it.
Yeah, and I said, I think the town meeting, I said, was looks like similar numbers to what's been seen over the last 8 years, essentially. But
That's, you know, because they've been talking about separating the business meeting and the voting. And it was always the thought was, if you do it at the same time, you'll have more people.
doesn't seem to,
And
it
then
seems,
the COVID thing, I remember during, when we had it on the,
Yeah.
on the common, it was a map. That is not what I would have thought the outcome would have been.
again, the factor seems to be most driven by, you know, what's being decided, what's being discussed, and,
Right. Well, that makes sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that I can see, but
I also think that this year, one of the other things, I feel like there was a significant amount of discussion of the petition zoning warrant article, both at the town meeting as well as on the listserv. And I think that drives traffic, and one of
So
the
the
things.
conclusion is come up with a crazy petition article every year.
Just to get more people.
I think,
I can do
one
that.
of the conclusions that I do take away is, how do I best characterize for people what's going to be happening at town meeting, so that it sounds interesting without putting any extra weight on stuff. And in particular, this year, I wanted to be very sensitive to, we had some very significant issues with people, and we didn't wanna necessarily discuss that. I think it was an issue with the road, that might be easier for me to, you know,
Yeah.
promote in a way that, or an issue with. So.
do you, as you're going through and you flip over your napkin, what's the comparison with school district participation versus town?
So I don't have those, I didn't do those notes. In the school district, what we've seen is, again, incredibly driven by what's on the docket. So essentially, if you have a year, school district also, the other thing too is that the largest voting year at town meeting for an item was the fire station. And I believe that was a bond vote, so that also was open for an hour.
Right.
Which also allows a different type of voting to happen. And the same thing with school district meeting. When at school district meeting, you have a bond vote or the equivalent, like for instance, this next year at school district meeting, there'll be a collective bargaining agreement, which I believe requires a bond type vote because it's a multi-year commitment.
Multi-year, yeah.
And so that will also change how many people come in to do things and or other pieces, so. It could be. But essentially, with the school, you definitely saw that, when there were years where they had, you know, a bond vote, or years where there was a significant financial item, you had more people, some years you had very small, or the same thing, if you have, this year, I feel like there was a significant amount of discussion on the listserv beforehand, and people pushed, and that encouraged people to come out also.
Well, that makes me think of the discussion about SB 2. because I know there's a group of people, and I know that it's been brought, or mentioned here, whether that's a reality that the board is thinking about even considering or bringing it up themselves. Just food for thought.
Yes, I'm processing in my head right now. It's that-
You don't have to answer, I'm just
Yeah.
bringing it up because you guys should,
Yeah.
you know, if it's something that the board is interested in looking at, you know, and
You
possibly.
prepared some materials, didn't you?
I
about-
did.
Can you send those
Happy to
back?
send it out again, yeah.
Yeah, typically, the general feedback from moderator groups and other things in regards to SB2, which changes the process, so you have a deliberative meeting, and then you have a paper ballot vote, is that in many cases, they've seen a significant downtick in participation of people who are then working on the actual piece, that you don't get many people coming to the deliberative meeting, and you do ultimately have more people vote on the, you know, the final piece, you have more votes that count. But you no longer have the opportunity to do what was discussed this year, for instance, with school district meeting, which is that if something doesn't pass, you don't then have the opportunity to try to form a compromise, or to do something along those lines.
Yeah. and-
There are lots of pros and cons to
There are
this,
pros
but
and
that's
cons.
why you have to really
But you
consider
mean,
it.
you look at, like, you did the school district meeting, what is
Yeah.
your term meeting? We're at school district meeting, and you can have all that stuff, and you have those discussions online, it's a single person reading something, and how you read it, and how somebody else reads the same things, you know, individual, but then you get a Lee Larson who makes a comment, and everyone's like, damn, and it's who says it, how they say it, and the weight, and that, I think there's a lot of benefit to having that stuff in a meeting after, so when people are getting their information, they have that discussion, it's with a broader,
One of the other ways to
Think
think
information.
about it as well too, and then I'll stop talking, is that that meeting, those meetings, the school district meeting and the town meeting are essentially our legislative body getting together. And so anyone can choose to be at that meeting and be part of the legislative body that day, and therefore be part of the discussion, contribute, change their mind, ask clarifying questions, do all those pieces. The process changes when you go to SB2. There are pieces that are more efficient, there are pieces that can bring more people in, but there are also pieces that are lost. And so that's the trade-off that any town needs to think about when you consider those two pieces. And
Yeah,
it's
I
certainly
can sit on
something to think
SB2
about.
right now, I don't feel like I have a very good sense about what the delta is, what the differences are.
Well, that's
between
why
the
I
two.
think you guys need to read this stuff and understand it better, because I have a very strong inkling that this is gonna come before you. If it's not from you guys, it could be from a group in town, so you should be educated about it. Understand of it, sorry, not educated, understand it.
More
and then, sorry, Phil, my question is, how is it that, and is this a pipe dream? And I've recognized that we have two separate, we have a legislative body, but there's a municipal side and there's a school side. And I sure would love it if there's some way that all of that could have sort of happened at the same time frame, day or something,
So let me give
without a
you,
loss, because of the fact that we're representing 25 to 28% of the tax bill versus the
so
rest of it.
my understanding, I would say that I think that there were, I'm not sure by numbers, but I could check it. This year, I believe there were more people and more votes cast at school district meeting than at the town business meeting. I can't remember the exact figures, I likely could find them. One of the pieces we really did try to ask, and this was one of the things in the survey we did last year, is that would people be likely to come if we doubled these up? You know, would we in fact get more, and or would, the other question really was out there, which was I think a question that Judy had, is that would people have a better perspective if they were doing both at the same time? And that question can't be answered by this, but the question that came back strongly was that we're likely to have less total attendance if we did them back to back. that came back fairly clearly, that basically
They
the
don't-
energy
they
isn't
don't
there
have
to
to-
do 6 hours of meetings.
They don't have to stay for the meeting they're
Yeah.
not interested in.
Yeah,
so.
that it, by,
have to-
the divide and conquer brought out, again, different people sometimes, but similar, but we were not gonna, suddenly those Venns are not gonna add up, so that we get more people for both. We would have, likely some for one and some for the other. The other piece that Bill Waste emphasized in particular is that it's potentially more viable if you have a year where there are no bond votes or any votes requiring an hour-long process. That if you have that, the meeting length already kind of stretches beyond what is likely to work for back-to-back. It's something we try in the future too, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Mark. That's.
Yeah, thank you for
The
thinking
only way you
about
could
it,
do
too.
it is make the articles of the school meeting and the town meeting go like this.
Yeah.
So you'd be
Yeah.
forced to.
You can kind of, and you could theoretically, like, okay, now we're switching hats, okay, and now we're gonna do, and you can have something open, you could have those things running at the same time if something's going. But in reality, both meetings, the town meeting was about 2 hours and 25 minutes of, 2 hours, 20 minutes of deliberation and voting. We had various preamble and awards and other things beforehand. School district meeting was approximately an hour of presentations and introductions, and then 2 hours of discussion and voting. So again, it was about a 3-hour session. So, yeah.
Interesting.
And Mark, you're suggesting that the research on SB2 is that you get more uninformed voters, because people don't go to the deliberative session.
No, I'm saying you have actually lower participation in the process of deliberation, and that,
Yeah.
I couldn't take one way or the other whether people are informed or not, but I think the piece that, what Michael was pointing out is if when Lee Larson, when someone steps up and contributes something as a citizen, that information could then be condensed into an actual budget, but there can only be one budget voted upon. And you take away this other piece, which Bill Waste referred to in school district meeting, which is that if the budget has been voted down, it doesn't go to a default budget. It goes to the meeting can now stay open for you to work together with the same group. What happens in particular in an SB2, if things are voted down, you then have to come back with another budget or it goes to default, and then you have a whole different constituent voting on it, which sometimes is more, sometimes is less.
Okay.
I think that's it, except for non-public.
And that's a, what is it, a C or?
Well, you're gonna have a C first and maybe an L. So
I move-
reputation.
I move
Mark,
we-
thank you.
You're welcome, thanks
Yeah,
all.
thank you,
Mark.
Mark.
That's great.
I move we go into non-public.
I'll second.
Aye.
At 11:10.
Then on.